Up next on the Elevated Podcast.
How to be a relentless leader during difficult times.
When I finally had a chance to be a full-on territory manager, I was going all out. My dad pulled me aside and he's like, man, live from your identity, not for your identity.
Have you struggled being consistent and fully committed due to the constant difficulties and challenges?
Yeah, we're pulled in so many different directions. And as leaders, people leaders, we have so many different problems that come from a work perspective. And then when we come home, it's tough to make that mental switch.
I mean, have you considered, giving it all up, even though you know that this is the thing that you are meant to do?
What is the dog? It roots yourself in a power much bigger than yourself. And so when your identity's set, man, you're not afraid of no's, you're not afraid of hardship, you're not afraid of adversity, right? That makes you relentless.
What's good, Elevation Nation, and welcome to the Elevate It podcast, where we provide personal development coaching to emerging leaders so that they can thrive in their inner tugging, their it. I'm your host, Christian, so let's go. Well, guess what? You are at the right place at the right time, because we are going to help you out today with a new friend of mine who has experienced some of this and more. Listen up. He has 15 years of being committed and consistent in sales. He is married with 2 kids. He is an award-winning leader who not only leads in excellence, but helps to develop others to succeed as well. I'm talking about as a regional manager, he has coached and developed multiple Rookie of the Year award winners. He has coached reps of the year and territory managers to be award winners as well. I mean, we're talking about a man of faith, integrity, and in character and love. He walks what he talks and talks what he walks. Listen, he is the author of the book Relentless Sales, here to help us coach through a powerful message around the conversation, how to be a relentless leader during difficult times. Elevation Nation, help me welcome to the Elevate It podcast, Mr. Relentless Sales himself, Jon Alwinson. Bro, how are you?
Man, what an intro. So good to be with you, Christian. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so good, man. Thank you for asking.
Absolutely, man. Look, I love it. I thank you for taking the time out to be with us on the Elevated Podcast, man. You're amazing. You're awesome. And I'm just grateful for your heart, your mind, and just us moving forward in the conversation of this. Listen, we are going to dig into some areas of the book, but I got to know, when it comes to the area of being relentless and different things like that, I just want to know where that came from. Is that something that, have you always been a relentless person, or what? Talk to me. This is a new relationship, man. Y'all. Yes. So we're going to learn together.
Let's go. So I've been in sports my whole life. I've always been the short, skinny guy, right? And so when you're the skinniest guy on the basketball court, you got to learn to be tough, right? And so from an early age, sports helped. I think it's having an older brother who beat up on me a little bit as well. Toughened me up. So I had a brother who's 2 years older than me, and he was hard on me growing up. But I think between sports, growing up in an environment where I had an older brother that pushed me, and just kind of, maybe not having everything. We weren't poor, but we certainly weren't rich growing up, and we kind of had to earn and work our way up from the ground up. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. Is Relentless has always been something that Alwinson stand for.
Wow, that's so good, man. Thank you so much for that, and even a little bit into your story. And we're going to go deep, right?
Yeah.
But before we go deep, I want to take the time, Elevation Nation, to let you know that this is your time to like, subscribe, and also comment. Why comment? Why are you really on the area of comments? Listen, if you're watching us through the area of YouTube, it's important that we feel the atmosphere, the virtual atmosphere on the comment section with words of encouragement, what we call mic drop moments. I mean, things that you hear from Jon or myself or in your heart and mind that you want to put in the comment section that can help you and help others. We want to make sure that those things are flooded there. If you're just listening to us, then look, you can put those things out in the atmosphere and speak those things out loud, because we want you to get what it is that you need to move forward. We realize some have been frustrated going through things, and even in the area of the mindset, notice that what Jon is going to share with our heart and mind, it's transferable. So don't just look at this as the area, oh, it's relentless sales, I'm not in sales. Well, we want to talk about that because I believe everybody's in sales, but I want to see if Jon will agree with us. And to move forward, before we get with that, we always want to let you know that in our community tab, there is a question pertaining to this episode, and this is what we want to know. We want to know, what has kept you from giving up during challenging seasons of your leadership, right? And I want to know, is it your mindset? Is it your team support? Has it been your adaptability, long-term vision, or your faith? All right, make sure you answer that poll, because we want to make sure that you're engaged pertaining to that as well. All right, now back to our regularly scheduled program. Jon.
Hey.
Is everybody in sales, man? I mean, talk to me about that.
You already know. Everyone is. I mean,
okay.
You know, whether you're a husband and wife trying to figure out what we're gonna have for dinner, or whether you're an engineer and not even in sales, but you're trying to get funding for your project. Literally everything we do, sell or be sold, really is the name of the game. And you know, I do believe everyone's in sales, and a lot of people just don't realize it.
Wow. Okay. That's good. So this is what I want to know. I want to know, Jon, like, take me to a time in your life, in your career, where you had felt like giving up due to like difficult situations.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, there's a lot of that in my story with starting a startup company early on in my career and being a part of that. So my older brother I talked about earlier, he and I started a footwear company out of college. So he'd been out of school
got
for
Jordans?
a couple years. Say that again.
No? Do you have Jordans? Do I got to connect? No,
not Jordan level shoes. We're talking like sandals. We're talking about like boat shoes, camp shoes, kind of some outdoor stuff. But but we were manufacturing shoes in China, and we had a good 5.5-year run with it. And so there were so many days, day in and day out for 5+ years, where, man, we wanted to throw in the towel. I wanted to throw in the towel. And on top of that, I was working 2 evening jobs. So one night I would work at a gym just so I could kind of stay somewhat physically fit. And the other night I worked at a restaurant. So literally for 5.5 years, I was working from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Wow. So you felt like giving up during those times? Totally. What about even in sales? Did you want to give up in sales?
Yeah, I mean, I think I go back and I think my first medical device job back in 2012, where I was actually an associate. And, you know, is this right for me? Should I stay in the game of sales? Yeah. There were days where I'd work all day, and then I'd be called that evening that I need to hop on a plane to go help out a neighboring state the next morning. And so there was just, for the first 7.5 years of my career, there was constant adversity. Yeah. So I know that feeling all too well of wanting to throw the towel in.
So how do you overcome that? How did you get through those difficult situations? Because you're talking about hopping on planes, you're talking about sales, driving, you're probably on the road. I mean, that's work-wise, as home wife, you're married, right? Yeah. Kids, yes. You know, pertaining to those things. So like, how do you overcome those moments?
Yeah, I talk about it a lot in the book, but I really chalk it up to a couple of things. I mean, number one is faith, and my faith in Jesus. And so getting systems created in your life to kind of help to help overcome. So my daily appointment with God, we call it our dog in the morning. My dad and I call it that. And I think it's so important to have that structure, right? Are you spending time with God?
I got it. DAWG, right?
DAWG.
I got it. It took me a little minute. So, I got it though. All right.
It's a little cheesy, but hey, it reminds you, right? Am I spending time with the Father, right? And so I think that's that to me, that's been huge for me.
Wow. Okay. So again, in the area of you're listening, you're hearing what he's saying. Like that's I won't explain it. I'll let you explain it from that area.
Yeah.
So somebody who's listening, and even the area of the dog and your time and faith and so forth and so on, like what has that done for you? Let's get even a little more practical pertaining to that, right?
Yeah.
People may have their relationship with Jesus. That's great. That's amazing. There may be some here who are listening and they're like, yeah, what does that mean? And how does that help me to kind of overcome what I'm feeling right now? So what in your dog, your DAWG,
WG,
that has been helpful to help you overcome within that?
I think ultimately it comes down to rooting your identity in something much, much bigger than yourself. In chapter 2 of my book, we talk about identity. And there was a point in my life where my dad, I was going, the first 7.5 years of my career were full of adversity, right? Failures, mishaps. And when I finally had a chance to be a full-on territory manager, I was going all out. And so I was having a very good year, but my dad, as any good dad does, kind of pulled me aside and it's like, hey man, like go for excellence. But I kind of sense that your identity, you're kind of living for something rather than you're living for something than living from something. And so my dad's like, man, live from your identity, not for your identity. And for me, that was the game changer. So what is the dog? What does that do? It roots yourself in a power much bigger than yourself. And so when your identity's set, man, you're not afraid of no's. You're not afraid of hardship. You're not afraid of adversity, right? That makes you relentless.
Wow. Look, now that's power right there. You share so many mic drops and moments pertaining to that, which leads me to a question. Do you feel like people put their identity in their job or in their career or in sales or so forth and so on? Do you think that that's what people do?
I think totally. And I think both guys and girls do, but I think guys are very susceptible to finding their identity in their work. A lot of times we're checklists, right? Got married, check. On to next. Kids, check, right? Job. And then a lot of times we get stuck in our job and we just want to keep checking things off because we feel like that's who we are. And we need to realize, be excellent, be great, but we're much bigger than just our job.
Absolutely. I love that. And so I'm huge in the area of the elevated podcast pertaining to your inner tugging, your what you're called, you're compelled to deal with and do. And a lot of it does come with the area of self-awareness and looking within because of my own personal journey. I'm one who, has had insecurities. I've looked for just the external validation, and I'm still working through some of those things even to this current day with my therapist and life and different things like that. And so I can see how it's easy to say, okay, even thinking about in sales or whatever, like, okay, I had this award, I'm good at this. I made this amount of money. I'm good at this. I got a promotion. I'm good at this. Like all those things that keep you trying to get the results, so forth and so on. So looking within, right, it's that area where you're like, all right, let me see what my creator has called, cultivated, and assigned and gifted me with, and how can I operate from that level to unfold and develop and be all that I'm cultivated to go ahead and be. And it doesn't, and my wife says this all the time, it's okay to change your mind, right? So it's the area where it's like, I'm here in sneakers and shoes and doing that. And I realize, okay, cool, I learned some things, but now I'm going to pivot into an area of sales. It doesn't mean that I'm less than, it doesn't mean that any of those things like that. It's like, or my identity was in the sneaker business, or my identity was in that. We've changed businesses so many times to get to where we are there, right? So even being able to identify with that area and the area of identity and the things that you're sharing, what would you say to the person who is at that place where they're navigating? They're like, I have put my identity in my thing. Yeah. And now I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? Where do I go next?
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of have that gut check, heart reflection with yourself first, right? And maybe ask some key mentors in your life. And we talk about in chapter 1 of my book, create a board of directors for your life. So sometimes when you're stuck, we're confused. And sometimes that mentor who's a couple steps ahead of you that you've already established is the perfect person to call and say, hey man, I'm struggling. I don't know where to go. I'm confused. What do you think from your perspective? And having that core team around you of mentors. Yeah. I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah. What would you say makes a good mentor?
So I do think most mentors are a couple stages ahead of us in life. They don't necessarily have to be older, but I do think they need to be, maybe they're in a field where they're several steps up the totem pole, right, if you will,
Yeah.
that you want to be. And so I do think age can be a predictor of that, but also where they're at in life, right, and how they're
Okay.
living their life.
That's good. Sounds like experiences, like we
Experience.
like to say it on our side, fruit on your tree.
Yeah.
Being able to talk through those things. I think I would even add to what you're saying, that they have a heart and mind for you to operate from your greatest good. Like a true genuine heart and mind for that, and they're not just yes men and amen and pertaining to that, but they also help you to grow as well, right? That area, that mentorship, that heart, that mind. So sometimes it is a pastor, sometimes it's a coach, sometimes it's a counselor, sometimes it's a friend, sometimes it's a mentor in your specific field. And in my life, I have like all of those things. Listen, be fully excuse me, transparent.
Yeah.
That I have one in the area of a peer that can check me, but then my wife Lanisha, she has full access to that person as well, in case I decide that I want to be a knucklehead to be like, hey, this dude right here, this surrounded, this cloud of witnesses that you have, look, he needs to be in check. And I think that level of accountability that we're kind of talking about as well, like that's that board mindset, that area of accountability keeps us rooted and grounded in our true identity, so that we can go ahead and just express ourselves in the earth realm so that God can get glory. What's your thoughts on that?
That's spot on. I mean, they ultimately are people that you trust, that they want to see you win. And the cool thing is you don't need to make it formal. I mean, you know your core team. Ask them if you can, bounce things off them periodically, but you create your core team of people who are for you and want to see you win.
I love it, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
A lot of our audience is emerging leaders, right? So they're leading, but it's development, just like we all are, moving forward within that. And so they may hear the term and say, all right, relentless sales, and in the area of like leadership as well. Like, what makes a relentless leader? Or better yet, let me go from there. Like, how do you define the word like relentless?
Yeah.
Now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and make a financial commitment to support us on Patreon. The link is in the description.
When I think of it, I think of immediately determined, right? Gritty, never give up, unyielding. Like those are things that stand out to me when I think of Relentless. And you're right, like Relentless Sales, this book is way more than just about sales. Everyone who reads it usually hits me up afterwards and says, hey man, that book was way bigger than just sales. I loved it. Right. And you can see some reviews online. Everyone's saying the same thing. It's much bigger than sales, but that's what I'm leading from, and that's the experience I'm coming from. I wish I had this book 15 years ago, and it saved me a lot of heartache.
Yeah. No, I love that, man. Determined, right? That determined. So the person who, again, feels like we said, felt like they, want to give up, or felt like they're frustrated because maybe a lack of team, so forth and so on. We're encouraging you to look within, but we're also encouraging you to realize that greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world, and those areas. Like looking within, realizing that I'm determined. Why do you have to be determined? We have to be determined because like there is a place, a call. There's an other side to this. Like we can't just stay where we are and be stagnant and just want to give up. So even if it's difficult, and then the other part of that, John, is I don't think it has to be difficult, right? If I go to like James real quick, and I think about like when it talks about count it all joy when you deal with these various situations and things, right? Like I think it's a perspective. The pain has to deal with a perspective, right? Like you may go through something that seems difficult, but there's an area we have an opportunity to develop, to unfold, to be who we're called and cultivated to be, right? So about the mindset, I want to go there a little bit, like the mindset going in to achieve these things. When you are coaching people to be award winners, when you're doing life and you're dealing with that, like there's obstacles, they're going to go ahead and come. But how important is that mindset to deal with that area of being that relentless person moving forward? So talk to me a little bit about the mindset that's required to be a relentless leader or person.
Yeah, it's huge. And I think, all the things we talked about today, from having disciplined habits to building your life on the right foundation, to kind of creating this grittiness in your life, help you foster a mindset that you're just not going to give up. You're going to stay relentless regardless. And so
Mm,
I think mindset is the center pillar of my book. We talk about skills, mentality, mindset, and faith. And so it is that center pillar that I think, when we build our careers from the skills perspective, basics up, and then we have our foundation and our faith in the right spot, it allows us to be tough, right? And physically, we don't have to be the strongest guys and gals in the world, but I
mhm.
do think developing physical fitness is an element to developing a tough mental mindset. I think it's one of those core elements.
That's powerful. That's powerful. See, when I think of relentless, I think of commitment, right?
Yeah.
Being fully committed and the area of consistency, right?
Hmm.
So, what do you think of some practical ways we can talk about a little bit that will help us stay committed and consistent to go ahead and get some of those, I don't want to say just the results, but get to the place that we're desiring to be.
Yeah, I heard a statistic the other day that 40% of what we do comes from habit. And so if 40% of our daily activity is from the habits we do, subconsciously, a lot of them, we really need to figure out the systems we put in place for ourselves, right? And so I'm big on not only electronic organization, but I've got a full focus planner that I use that each night I prepare my day the next day on paper as well. And so I do think creating the systems and then kind of jotting out my top 3 goals for the next day, the big rocks that we need to accomplish, having those consistent structures in place allow for that consistency. So that's some of the stuff from a work perspective that I do, but also you can take that in a number of different areas. Like first thing I wake up and do 5:30 in the morning is try to spend time in the Word, right? And so that's a habit, right? And I'm try to read a proverb for some wisdom, right? And so there's things that are intentionally structured, so I'll have compounding consistent results.
I like that. I like that a lot. And I think that's good there. So you're saying in the area, I have a routine, I have systems in place, not just
Totally.
for success of business, but for life principles pertaining to that. And so even the systems that we're talking about being able to be put in place, I like sharing a little bit about that because we want some people to get some practical things as well. You had mentioned. So some systems that you may have in place. So you get up in the morning, you have some devotional time, right?
Yep.
You talk about the area of fitness. You've talked about in the area of exercise and different things like that. You read something for the area of wisdom that hits your heart and your mind. Guys, y'all get these things so we can move forward. We can't just
Yeah.
be at a place where we're complaining and we're frustrated, but we're not willing to follow through with the things that are helping us to continue to go ahead and move forward and be. So what are some other systems that can be put in place or that you currently have in place that has helped you to be the successful man that you are today?
Yeah, I have like a little morning routine that I do, obviously. So I have affirmations as well as part of that. So I think that's a big part of my journey and how do we stay mentally tough? And so there are spiritual things in that, but there are also like worldly practical things, not worldly from a bad perspective, but just practical things in general that don't apply to faith that I have in there. So I run through my routine, and so that routine is like we've talked about, and then I'll end up reading some industry knowledge as well, and then get some fitness in before the day gets going. And so 30-40 minutes of either weights or riding the Peloton or walking around the neighborhood, I kind of mix that up to just make sure I'm kind of getting that morning the blood flowing and getting some fitness as well.
Wow, I love it. I love it. So you're pretty active.
Very.
How how often are you on the road out about dealing with sales and things?
Yeah, so I have 10 people on my team this year, so I'm very busy. And
Okay.
so I'm usually with each person for a couple days every quarter. And so we
Okay.
cover 8 states, so I'm on the road a lot, but just very, very disciplined on making sure I'm getting back for the family. And, so a couple days on the road usually each week.
Okay, so let's go there for a second because the person, we're watching, you're listening, we hear the area people want success, they want to thrive, they want to do what they need to do in their career, but being as active as you are, how are you having a healthy marriage, healthy relationship in the home world? How's
Yeah.
that balance?
Yeah, luckily I have an awesome wife, Sandra. She's my rock, and so she's very understanding. She knows I'm providing for the family,
Yeah.
and I think just kind of having that, when I'm on the road, I'll FaceTime the kids. We'll pray together before we go to bed, things like that to make sure we're just staying connected as much as we can. But FaceTime is a magic thing that kind of helps with the kiddos for sure.
Wow, cool. Do you do a lot of rest time? Do you take time to vacation? Like, I'm just, we getting to know each
Yeah,
other in this
yeah,
area,
yeah,
but
yeah.
but listen though, because think about it. Like, I don't subscribe personally to the grind to the point where my priorities, my family, all those things like that, they're really hurting, right? I
Yeah.
tell everybody in the meetings that I have, whether it's with my staff, whether it's a client, whether it's a ministry, I can be preaching in the pulpit. I tell everybody the thing: if my wife and my kids call and it's an area of emergency, I'm out.
Yeah.
And I let them know those things because I feel like that's my first ministry. Okay.
100%.
And so, but somebody may be in a place saying, I care so much about my family. I'm also not doing the other things that are outside of my family that I feel like I'm called to deal with as well. So that's what I mean by the area of balance. Lanisha said to me when we're talking this year, we're like, this is the year like we're both going to be going for it, because typically in a household, it's like the husband can go for their dream while the wife stays back, or the wife goes for her dream and the husband, whatever the case may be. And I said, no. This is year we both are moving forward and we're going to do what we're called to do because we serve a God that has no limitation. So why should we be limiting ourselves? There's a way to move forward and do this in health. Now,
Yeah.
what's for my household is different from your household,
Sure.
but there still can be a place of health. So that's why I'm asking these questions, because somebody's watching saying, man, I'm busy, but my family's suffering. Or it's the opposite. I'm just so home that's not taking place. So you're doing it. I'm doing it from a different perspective. And I think we
Right.
need to share these things so people can know you can be victorious. I ain't say
Come on.
perfect, but you can be victorious doing what you're called to do, and your family can continue to grow as well. So let's just go a little deeper, share some things.
Yeah, man, you're spot on. I think you can go for it and you can go all out, right? And I think, but have the structure back in place. So 5:30, 6 p.m., I'm shelving my phones, right? I have a work phone, a personal phone. I'm busy. So that those core time before bed, dinner, we try to intentionally, when I'm home, we're always together for dinner, right? Even if I need to get a workout, right? I'm grabbing dinner, which, can be tough at times if you're sitting or traveling and you need to get the fitness in, but putting your family first, put some structure around your phone, put some structure around your family time. And, when it's work time, it's work time. When it's family time, it's family time, and you go all out with them.
Love it, man. Thank
So I
you.
see.
Thank you for that. And thank you for letting me, letting us in
Please.
pertaining to that, because I think it's just important. People would love to hear and talk about the success or how much money you're making or all those things. And that's great. Trust me. Like, I believe in wealth and abundance. Trust me, I do.
Yeah.
But I think it's character, it's a heart and mindset that we need to be more transparent about as well, that you can treat people like crap and cheat and lie your way to the top.
Mhm.
And have a external way or view of success, but the true area of fulfillment that operates from your integrity, your character, the morals, some of the things that you've written about, the things that you talk about, the way that you're living in, and like there's a different way, I believe, where you can do the natural, but then God adds the super on the natural, and we have a supernatural situation that takes place because we're truly operating from who we are and not just trying to strive and be super busy and figure it out. It's us operating from who we are. So I want to come here now to say, like, Jon, like who you are, like your true passion, like who are you? Like, it's fit in the
Yeah.
area of sales we're talking about and all
Yeah.
that, but who are you and how is that connected? Like, you're it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a Orlando boy who now lives in Atlanta, Georgia, right? And so I'm Pete and Karen Alwinson's son, right? I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm a friend. I'm passionate about helping that next generation of sellers. I'm passionate about my team. I'm passionate about fitness. I'm passionate about Jesus and God, right? And living my faith. But just being a real person, I think, is so important. I think a lot of people who reach different levels of leadership think they need a persona per se.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I think kind of stealing one of Craig Groeschel's lines, I mean, people would rather follow a leader who's real than who always thinks they're right. and that's, I just try to be real. And I'm very passionate about trying to be excellent in all that I do in all aspects of life.
Good. So what would you say your passion is? Excellence? Is that what you?
It's actually our team theme. Our one word for our team this year is excellence, and that's just what we're striving for, right? And so I'm trying to parlay that in every aspect of my life, with family and friends as well.
Wow. I love that. So you take the area of excellence. So that starts at home, right? You operating from a place of excellence, you walking with your wife in a place of excellence, your kids in the area of excellence, you physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally operating from a place of excellence, you in the job and sales excellence, you leading team. And look, I've read the intro, like it's fruit on the tree. There is excellence by the area of that as well. So I love that, man. I love that. I love that. I love that. Did you want to say something else on that? I didn't want to cut you off.
No, you're good. I mean, that's spot on. I couldn't say it any better.
Yeah, that. So the area of excellence. And so that's when you say the word excellence, I think I'm biased, but I think my wife's picture should come up.
Yeah.
Because she's wired the exact same way. It's almost like it has to be at a certain level for that thing to move forward within that place and posture of excellence and hold other people to that level and walk with them as well. But even understanding the area of excellence and how to operate in it and move forward. Have you found that there has been some difficulty pertaining to that balance of like home, work, expectation, leader, that leadership, that place of like excellence, dealing with that? What has been some struggles or some situations within that heart and mindset, even though it's it's a passion, but what has come up out of there that you've had to kind of navigate through?
Yeah, we're pulled in so many different directions, aren't we? We're pulled in, and as leaders, people leaders, fires, right? And so we have so many different problems that come from a work perspective. And then when we come home, it's tough to make that mental switch to be all in with family. Sometimes we're still thinking about work, right? And so I'm an open book. Happy to share any specifics that we want to talk about. But man, we are pulled in so many different directions, and I think mediocrity can sneak in in any aspect, can sneak into the personal side, can sneak into the professional side if we don't have those structures and we don't try to aim for the best we can, but also having that same understanding of grace too. That, there's only one person that was ever excellent that walked on this earth, right? And that's Jesus Christ. But knowing that we're all going to fall short. But I think when we make excellence our aim, that's when, even when we fall short, because we will fall short of excellence. If we make that our aim and we fall short, we're still exceeding more than we would have had we had a lower bar set for ourselves.
That's good. That's good right there. I love that. I love that. I mean, you can excel for the area of excellence. And two, I always tell people that because God is within you, right? We cooperate with God as we move forward and we live in this area of this earth realm. There is a level of power that we have to tap into pertaining to how we're operating. So be encouraged as you're watching and listening that there is a place of excellence for you to operate from, and lean into it, because what God called you to be, how you're choosing to operate, it's a place of that. That area of excellence is transferable, like we talked about, from the home into the workplace. You chose the area of sales, and I do want to know, you went from sneakers to sales. Like, it's a gap in there.
Yeah. So I went from selling sneakers to doing selling neurosurgery equipment. So I mean, there couldn't have been a bigger. My first medical job, I was selling neuro, spine, ENT, orthopedic equipment, high-end technology, and there could not have been a bigger learning curve.
Wow.
So yeah, it's that was quite the journey, and I'm doing some other things now, but it's sales has been one of those things that I'm really grateful that God's put me in. And growing up, my parents didn't really know what to do with me. Like, we don't really know what industry he's going to fit in, but I think that's God clearly had this for me.
Yeah. Why sales though? Like, I mean, what was that tug there? Just curious. Is it something just naturally?
I don't think I'd ever sit in an office all day. So I can't, that's one, right? So I not sitting in an office, people person too, genuinely, that's one of the things, that's one of our secret weapons on our team is we we truly care about our customers. And when you hire people who truly care about their customers and create a culture that
Yeah.
cares and puts their customer first, it makes sales so much fun, right?
Mm.
We're serving our customers through our products, services, solutions. And so you're helping people. And the cool thing about medical device, it's one of those best kept secrets, is you actually get to see your products you're selling immediately help a patient.
Yeah. Wow. So, I mean, all right, we're going to talk about the sales. Like, I know you guys scared the personal development. I got to go there. All right. Because not everybody has a positive experience and mindset pertaining to this. Right. As a matter of fact, I'll be honest with you. When I've made an offer for something in coaching or different things like that, it's the part that I do not even enjoy the area of that. I don't want to feel like a salesy person.
Yeah.
Why has it gotten such a bad like rap pertaining to that? Right. It's like, well, salesmen, they trying to just, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to speak that out there, but you know what the stigma is pertaining to that, right? Why is that so?
You know, when anything can get corrupted in this world, right? And when money's involved, corruption can come in, right? And so the cool thing about what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to rewrite how people see sales. And you know, there's plenty of justifiable situations of salespeople not being ethical, but when it's done correctly, it's one of the most noble, most fun, enjoyable, and God honoring occupations in the world. And so I think when people think of sales, they get nervous as well, and they do weird things, right? Sometimes they change their voice, right? We start sweating. You know, I think you know, but making it conversational, genuinely care about your customer, and then just outlining what we have and not worrying about a hard sell, but hey, does this make sense? Are you guys comfortable moving forward? If not, like, help us understand and we can kind of figure out what works best for you. But kind of making it just all about your customer, what's important to you, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, is I think the key to success.
Yeah. I think what helped me to feel less, I won't say salesy because the sales is sales. I think what helped me was realizing the value that we have to offer. So the area of the product, putting that together, right? I think that hit like, so I can just be transparent. Like, so when we first started the area of coaching, it was me and Lanisha coaching marriages. And that was always a different thing. You know, it's like, it's different if you have a product, a physical product, somebody can see it, it helps them, it makes them money, so forth and so on. But the things that I'm selling and dealing with is life changing. So it's hard to be like, okay, if you take this here and add this to there, you're going to get that result, unless your marriage is getting ready to fall apart. Right. And I'm going to help you not pay that alimony or whatever it is that you got to deal with, or that divorce. And then we started coaching leaders, and coming from that area of the personal development has always been my tug. But realizing that what I had and how I'm helping you unfold and develop, right, is I think of a flower. Like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, but it's closed at first. Somebody has to work with you to have that thing unfold, develop, get clarity, move forward. So once you get that, then the sky's the limit, or beyond the sky's the limit. You can just operate from those places. So I think starting to see the value of what we have, and it's not pushing, like you said, it's not being pushy. It's expression. I have a solution to a problem that you have. And so as we work together, it can help you to move forward from there. You can take it or leave it. That's totally up to you. And also learning how to take my no's like my yeses, which I have not mastered. But if you're in sales full time, as you deal with, like, I do want to know, is there a secret to that, bro? Because sometimes you can have your heart and mind involved in something and you get that no or whatever the case, and you're like, man, but I felt like I landed that, or I felt like this happened. So how do you go for no?
Yeah, no, just to put the secret out there, no one likes that, right? No matter how seasoned or hard they are.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. No one's comfortable with that. I mean, it's because we're so passionate about what we do, what we sell, our offering, etc., right? And we know how it can help others. And so everyone's in that game, and we all kind of ride those highs. But I think the key is to have a healthy pipeline, right, of opportunities. And so if you have a very small pipeline of opportunities, it makes those no's much harder, right? Where you can move on quickly when you have a healthier pipeline of opportunities. But try not to go too high. Try not to go too low. One of my reps, Ben here in Atlanta, his dad always tell him ABC, always be cool, right? So
dog. You know, we got ABC and dog in one episode, y'all. Come on.
Come on. We're hitting all the letters.
Always be cool.
That's it.
Right? That place of I'm finding out neutrality, man. Being at that place where it's not over. I'm an emotional being, so being super excited and about this or that, because that can come across in a negative way as well. But when
Right.
you be authentically who you are, operating from there, knowing that you personally, it's internal. Like I have the goods, not in an arrogant way, but understanding that what I have to offer is powerful. So again, whether you're a preacher, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you are emerging in area, it does not matter the field that you're in. Always sit from the area to recognize the power of what you have and being confident in that and being able to release that, because that's what's needed in the earth realm. The things that you have, we have to release those things. And that's what I do appreciate about the area of sales, right? Because it's not about holding it on. You don't get the resources of finances and you just keep all that stuff in for yourself, right? So I think there's a mindset even there to say, look, if it's good, it's great. I have to release it so that there's an area of increase. So some of you guys watching and listening, you got some stuff you need to release. You need to realize that it's so good, it has to be released. It has to move forward. It has to get out there. And I'm believing that the principles in this book can help you release those things, whether it's a physical product, something in your heart, your mind, your being, that there's some things that he said, I wish I had this 15 years ago that I need to put into place and practice that we can understand can help us be relentless. There's some things we don't need to be relentless with, right? But the things that you're called and cultivated to from your inner tugging, like you need to move forward and be the best version of you, be yourself and operate at that place of excellence, man. Great. This is awesome, man.
It's cool. You be you, right? That's my last chapter of my book. Be you. Be your authentic, true self.
Wow, you're picking back off of some stuff that we're talking about even our last episode, man. So this just goes right together pertaining to that, man. Can you, matter of fact, I want you to speak to that real quick. Would you talk to somebody who is at a place where they feel like I want to be my genuine 100% self, but I feel the pressure of life. I feel the pressure of the job. I feel the pressure of these things kind of pulling me in directions that I know if I go in this direction, maybe it will increase more money wise, right? But I might not be happy pertaining to that. Or if I deal with this and I deal with that, like how talk to the person who is really at a place they want to be themselves, but they feel the pressure of life that is swaying them in different ways. What would you say to that person that's listening and watching?
I would try to help that person. And how I would try to help them is it sounds like they probably just don't fully understand themselves right at that moment. Maybe there's some stuff going around that I don't know is in their life, but I would try to help them. What are their strengths, right? I would also, there's strength-based tests. I love the Clifton Strength Finders test, right? What are they good? Where's God gifted them? And then I would try to encourage them off of that. And by understanding that about the person, I would help them. But I would also do a number of different things. I'd have them go back and say, go back through your life from when you're little to now. And what was your win list? Where did you win in life? Right? Maybe it was in 6th grade. You were hit the basketball winning, you scored the winning basket, right? For a championship game. Maybe in college, you were president of an association. Maybe you did this, that, right? Write them all down.
Yeah.
And that list becomes bigger and bigger, right? And then I think that's an identity, right? At the end of the day, it's who you are. It all comes back to identity. So I would find their strengths. I would remind them of their wins. And then I would also encourage them not to never take criticism from somebody you wouldn't go to for advice.
Wow. Right? Wow.
Sometimes we care way too much about what other people think of us. And we need to care about vertically what God thinks of us rather than horizontally what other people think of us.
So good, man. Man, thank you, Jon.
Yeah.
This has been amazing, man. Look, I could flow and go with you for a while, man, but I want to take the time as we are concluding. Don't you go anywhere, guys, because Jon is going to leave us with a power statement that we can take with us throughout the rest of our day, the rest of our week, to just light us on fire for us to be able to move forward and do that. But before we do that, I want to know how they can get a copy of the book and follow you on all of your social media platforms. Let us know where we can find you and find your resources.
Yeah, man. JonAlwinson.com, my website, Jon Alwinson, ALWINSON.com. Would love to have your support. Pick up a copy of the book, and then saying my name on every platform. LinkedIn, so Instagram, Facebook. You can find me on all the platforms.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that. Well, I look forward to even going deeper in the book. I thank you for your time, Jon.
Yeah.
And Elevation Nation, you guys are amazing as well. I want Jon to give us a word that we can take with us throughout the rest of our day, the rest of our week. So, man, you got it from there.
Cool, man. Proverbs chapter 14:26, right? Verse 26. In the fear of the Lord, one has strong confidence, right? So go live from your identity, not for your identity.
Wow. Powerful, man. Thank you so much. You're amazing, Jon. Elevation Nation, stay tuned. Listen, watch this next episode that is coming forward, and make sure too that you have liked, subscribe, and commenting so that we can continue to move forward and elevate the nation for kingdom advancement. You're amazing. You're awesome. And we'll see you next episode. Now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and make a financial commitment to support us on Patreon. The link is in the description.